So due to the allegations that Manchester City are currently facing, there's every possibility that they could be playing their football in the Championship in the foreseeable future. Now, of course, Man City themselves will have their own response, which is still to come out as of recording, and no doubt the legal process will take quite some time. However, there are plenty of potential sanctions which are being spoken about, which involve both point deductions and potential relegations. And for the sake of today's video, I thought it would be an interesting experiment to see just how this Manchester City side would fare if they were plunked into the Championship, both with their starting team right now and also how would they fare if they were stripped of all their first team stars. So we're going to be putting both those theories to the test today on FIFA 23. So as Burnley are currently at the top of the Championship, I've gone ahead and switched them in the Premier League for Manchester City in the Championship, and we'll see just how their starting 11 would fare if they were plunked into the Championship this season. We're going to go ahead and disable the first transfer window, so they will be left with their entire first team squad, but they won't be able to sign anyone for the first window. And now I guess it's time to put FIFA 23 to the test. So this is the squad that Man City are working with in the Championship. Just to confirm, these are the standings at the start of the season. Man City in there with the rest of the squads that are making it in the league this season apart from Burnley. We're going to be going ahead and jumping to the end of the season, simulating all these matches and see just where Man City would finish in the Championship this season.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, and we have now made it to the end of the simulation. You'll notice that before we had Luton on the last game of the season, whereas now we had Watford, and that's because I got sacked as manager of Man City halfway through this simulation. So I'm particularly interested to see where they're currently sitting in the Championship, but surely they've gone ahead and won the league with the ridiculous squad that they have been working with. As you can see, Pep Guardiola is now the manager in Blackburn on this fantasy reality. Let's hop over to the league standings though and see where they're situated. We'll go from the bottom to the top. I'm not expecting Man City to be anywhere around here. The three going down in the end: Rotherham, Wigan and Reading. West Brom and Sunderland also not faring all too well. Going from Blackburn up, we've then got Stoke, Coventry, Bristol City, Preston, Swansea, QPR, Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, Watford, Norwich and Manchester City, of course, going ahead and winning the Premier League. Also going ahead and breaking the Championship record point tally, which is currently held by Reading, 106 points. Man City just go 1 point better, going for 107. Man City also boast the best defensive record in the league, having only conceded 41 goals, and they have broken that 100 goals barrier, scoring a grand total of 102 goals. 5 defeats in there is interesting though. 33 wins out of 46 games. If Man City's first 11 was to be plunked in the Championship as it is right now, how do you think they perform? Would they do better than 107 points, or do you think that's about realistic for over a full Championship season, how they go ahead and actually do? In terms of the top scorers, of course, Erling Haaland went ahead and won the Golden Boot. 27 goals in 43 matches for him. Interestingly enough, not more than Mitrovic managed for Fulham last season. Mahrez also up there with 21 goals. Phil Foden chipping in with 13 as well. In terms of the assisters, don't have anyone immediately up there. They do have Kevin De Bruyne, who chipped in with 7 assists. Clean sheets, it was a tie between Tim Krul and Edison, both with 19. And these were the overall stats for the Man City players. Haaland 27 goals, Mahrez 21, Foden 13, De Bruyne 10, Sergio Gomez popping in with 7, and then all of these chipped in with the rest. Assist tally, it was Foden and De Bruyne leading the way. Edison picking up 6 assists from the goalkeeping position. To be honest, I wouldn't put that past him in the Championship. So according to FIFA, this is how Man City would do if their first 11 was to be plunked in the Championship, and I'd say that's probably quite realistic. They probably wouldn't lose those 5 games, and they would stand the chance of going unbeaten. But 107 points, breaking the Championship point tally, over 100 goals, all seems quite realistic. Now let's go ahead and see how they'd fare if they were to lose some of their big stars. I actually think this second simulation that we're going to do with this Man City side is more interesting. So I've gone ahead and got rid of every City player that was over 80 rated, and this is the squad which they are then left with for the Championship. There is still a little bit of star power in here. They've got Julian Alvarez up front. Ortega in net will take a little bit of of a deeper look into the squad. Obviously Cole Palmer in there, Morgan Rogers, plenty of players who are currently out on loan in the Championship. We've got Doyle in there, Howard Bellis, who's been going so well at Burnley, Liam Delap, who's currently at North End, Zach Stefan as their backup option on the bench. But this is the entirety of the squad they're working with. Also, Championship legend Scott Carlson in there as well. Overall, where would this squad finish in the Championship? I think as a bare minimum, it's still got to make it into the top 6 when you've got, you know, a striker as good as Alvarez up front, when you've got, you know, a partnership at the back of Doyle and Harwood, Bellis, Ortega in net, Gomez at left back. There's still plenty of talent in this squad, but I'm not expecting a record-breaking year by any means. Also, as I didn't want to get rid of a promotional rival for Man City on this simulation, I've not got rid of Burnley this time. I've instead got rid of Wigan, as they're, you know, theoretically the weakest team in the league, as they're currently bottom in real life. So that's the current standings of the Championship. Now let's go ahead and simulate until the end of the season and see just where this Man City squad ends up. Alright guys, the simulation has just finished and I can confirm that this time we did make it to the end of the season as Man City manager, so we weren't fired part way through, maybe because the expectations were a little bit lower on us this year, given we don't have all the resources that we had last time in terms of a starting 11. Let's go ahead and pop over to the league table though and see just where we finished. So hopping over to the league standings, it was a finish in second place in the end, tied on 98 points with Watford. So not quite a record-breaking season that the first team managed, but even so, considering this was Man City's youth and reserves making up our starting 11 each week, with the exception of, you know, Alvarez, who I suppose is their only first team starter. 98 points, pretty respectable from this side, but just picked to the league title on goal difference by Watford, scoring 87 goals, conceding 52 all around. The rest of the top 6 made up by Norwich, Burnley, Sheffield United and Bristol City. In terms of City's star performers throughout the year, Julian Alvarez was the top scorer across all competitions, scoring 34 goals, 22 of those coming in the Championship. Herrera scoring 17, Morgan Rogers having a great year, scoring 15, Cole Palmer chipping in with 11. Plenty of growth on a lot of these players who were all very young at the start of the season, which is interesting to see. In terms of the Championship Golden Boot race, Julian Alvarez was pipped to the Golden Boot by Timu Pukki, scoring 28 all things around. Brereton Diaz also beaten in by a few, scoring 26. Top of the assisters, there's Herrera and Gomez both up there, but they're both pipped by Ben Osborne with 11. And Ortega also not taking the clean sheet, with Bristol City topping that with 19 overall. So all things considered, I do think this one was an interesting experiment. FIFA's got Man City to either win the league or at least get automatic promotion, whether or not they keep hold of their entire starting 11 or they do have to fully gut the club if they were to be relegated to the Championship. So obviously today's video was just for a little bit of fun, but these are some quite serious accusations which are being faced by Man City at this point in time. I'd be particularly interested to get some of your guys' views on this. If Man City are to have been found guilty of what they have been alleged to do, what would you see as a feasible punishment for them if they were to be deemed guilty? Would it be a points deduction for the Premier League next season? Would it be relegation to the Championship, relegation further than that to League 1 or League 2? I want to hear all your guys' verdicts in the comments down below. Apart from that though guys, that will not wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to stay subscribed for some regular content and I'll see you all in the next one.